Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I will call to order the September 17th, 2025 Budget Subcommittee meeting of the Weymouth School Committee. We will start with grants and gifts.
Thank you. Let me just share my screen. For folks who need copies, the packet is at the end of the table there. And although we're in webinar mode, Alyssa Bossi is on joining us virtual. So the first item, grants and gifts, updates on where we are with grants. Our entitlement grants have all been approved more or less in process. We're just waiting for the grant award letter from DESE so that we can actually start spending our entitlement grants. That's titles 1, 2, 3, 4, as well as our IDA grants 240 and 262 for special ed. Last spring, we reported out a mental well-being grant that Bryn Cooper was spearheading. We've been awarded that grant. Total grant award is $69,926. That support trainings across the district, train the trainer models in topics such as mental health and well-being. So that's exciting news. And then we've recently applied for the MyCap grant. It's a $7,000 grant. And basically the grant is for planning and implementation of what's called MyCap. And it's basically a way to support high school students for college, career, and civic readiness. And it's also being managed by Karen Monahan, the principal, Sandra Peen, our CT director, and Bryn Cooper, director of counseling services.
What was the total amount on that?
That one is it's a competitive grant and it's up to $7,000 per. Yeah. So that's grants. On the gift side, I guess first, before I get into the report, as everyone remembers from last meeting, Betsy Harris has retired from the school department. We will miss Betsy. She did many things for us. We've replaced her. We've reimagined her position into a development position, really working with superintendent and school committee's goals in terms of community partnerships, the fundraising program, which we'll talk about, the Wildcat sponsorship program we talk about. Christine will work with athletics and with Kelly Powers and with Alyssa Finance on managing that entire sponsorship program. Christine will come to a future meeting, but for tonight, I'll just do the quick report out that Betsy used to do. And in the packet breaks down all of our monetary donations and in-kind gift donations from all of our schools. We, per school committee policy, report out twice a year. And so this is our first share out. And this is for the period of January 1st, 2025 through the end of the last fiscal year, 6/30/2025. And you can see monetary, that's all donations from individuals and organizations to our schools and district. And then in-kind is basically, we put a valuation on stuff that's donated. I think I'm looking at Mary Ellen. I think Apple has donated stuff in the past. We put a monetary value on that, and it's deemed an in-kind donation.
Does the 107 for Chapman include the?
Yes, thank you.
GoFundMe.
So that is the bulk of that is the Murray donation. And we will report out again in the springtime or the fall. We've really, and we'll talk about it in sponsorship, we've really seen the community step up just in things that they can do, what parent councils can do, townwide at a meeting, just how parent councils can support and be involved. Even as Kathy's not here, but Bennett Electric, a local company, has donated a ton of office supplies here. We're distributing that. So every little bit helps, and we appreciate the partnerships with the community to do that. questions on grants or gifts before I move on to sponsorship program?
Nope.
All right, we've talked a few times about the Weymouth Wildcat Athletic Sponsorship Program. We've been looking at this for a number of years, trying to find ways for athletics to partner with finance, to partner with maintenance, and then have our community outreach to utilize valuable space at our fields and our gyms to promote and advertise for ideally local businesses. You see it in other districts. It's taken us some time here to get a good process down, making sure we're compliant with policy and developing procedures. So, and I'll actually, Alyssa's on, so she might be able to chime in on some of this, but the packet itself, here's the program. I think we've shared this out before, but you have different types of packages to everything from banners to get a social media presence, and, season tickets to events. But basically, when you look at school committee policy, we can't do permanent signage anywhere without going through other certain approvals, but a banner is temporary in nature. So we really look at this from a seasonal to an annual, and then same with the social media presence. So it is a great way for folks to, in effect, donate or sponsor our program, our high school athletics program, and they can show off their names and in the meantime. So one of the steps to get this going for the fall was procuring someone to do banners for us. We went through not a competitive bid, we went through a quote process. And I think today, Alyssa, we have someone in place. You're muted right now. Let me see if you can unmute. I'm going to have to unmute you. Ask to unmute. Try it now. There you go.
There we go. Hi. Yes, today we are going with Mayo Designs, and they're in Weymouth. We had 4 we had solicited, 1 declined, 1 we had no response, and Mayo came in lowest. So they will be providing the banners for us. We're really excited. And to date, we have 16 sponsorships. Just to highlight a couple, one of our special ed transportation companies went with the Wildcat Ultimate package of $5,000. So we really appreciate Metri's support. Another neat one, Associated Elevator. We have them to fix our elevators, and Mark Keefe, I don't know if anyone knows him, he recently passed away, and he was our technician. He was fabulous. So they did Wildcat Supporter for him. So we've had some wonderful responses, and we're really excited about it.
And timing wise, I think one of the goals, your goals was to get banner in place for homecoming.
Homecoming, correct.
That's the goal. So for the first homecoming football game, we should see banners at the
Yep.
field. So again, thank you to the sponsors. And again, it's just great to see the partnership because these dollars will directly benefit our student athletes in the forms of fee waivers. And the ultimate goal is to hopefully, not only not see increases in fees, but who knows if this grows to a magnitude that we can start to reduce or even eliminate user fees. So I think it's a great first step.
For a total amount of how much so far?
So far, Alyssa,
So far, you're gonna make me do math
Ballpark.
right now.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Ballpark, so 15,000.
15,000.
And we went live when? So when did we open it?
Last week or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, just about.
Yeah,
Amy can chime in. She's there too. I'd say 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I'm getting the nod. 2 weeks ago.
Yes, good.
Any questions from me? Anybody want to ask questions? Go ahead, guys.
Hi, Danielle. Thanks.
Hey.
Thanks, Brian. This all looks great. And we talked about this
Mhm.
for a while. It's been done in the past, off and on, but definitely nothing this on the last thing. Good. But just one clarification. The initiative was originally to support the funding shortages on the athletic side, right? Addressing fees. But when you look at the way that it's presented on the website, not necessarily here, it talks about district-wide initiatives. I just want to make sure that we're talking about, is it athletics only, athletics prioritization?
It's right now prioritized to athletics, but the goal is eventually, we don't know the magnitude of this. It would grow to support other district initiatives. And when I say other district initiatives, in addition to athletics, we have other extracurriculars, we have band, we have other areas where we could probably support students more without, because our responsibility is the day-to-day operating budget, right?
Right.
Of curriculum, teaching and learning. But, you know, we hear anecdotally stories of extracurriculars, groups that are struggling. So we're hoping that it can expand to more district-wide initiatives in the future.
That's great to hear. I guess, you know where I'm coming from.
Yep.
In the future, that's the emphasis. There's a 250,000 generated through athletic user fees every year. It's not enough to cover the operational costs. So I just wanted to make sure that the priority was with that as it related to, I hate to see a situation where we're gonna do this, but we're still gonna be talking about increasing athletic fees in the next cycle conversation.
Correct. That's the intent of this immediately is to not increase, hopefully reduce it, maybe even eliminate someday.
Eliminate.
So Danielle had asked, actually, if you see it bolded on here, Danielle asked to keep this on as a standing item. I think it's fair, given the newness of it, to keep it on as a standing item.
It looks great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just, from my own perspective, I want to say thank you. I know this takes a lot of work and it's an amazing initiative that within 2 weeks, you've already brought a large amount into the district.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's folks like Alyssa and Kelly, and we've had involvement with athletics, and Christine, our new employee, have worked hard on this, and Amy.
It's like its own branch of the.
Yeah.
You know? Great.
Audits and reports.
Yeah, moving on to.
Audits and reports. Okay, that time of year audits, end of year report audit. So our end of year report to DESI, we call it an audit. The auditors like to call it agreed upon procedures. They don't like to use the word audit when it comes to our end of year report, because they really look at the agreed upon procedures of preparing the end of year report. Unfortunately, with changes in our auditors over the last several years, we went from Melanson to Markham to now CBIZ. We've had a bit of turnover in the finance office for the town, CFO, accountants. We are just finishing now FY23 and FY24, and we'll begin FY25. We'll have a report in the coming weeks for FY23. There will likely be a finding because of the timing of amendments, again, in the transition of auditors and key staff and financial positions. An amendment, so I think there might be two items. There was an amendment that was to be completed for FY22 to 23, didn't get completed in time for their reporting. So it will show in 23 as an audit finding, and we'll fix it in 24. Been doing audits for 20 years. It's not a finding that I'm concerned about. The other finding is on the reporting of interest debt for the town. Again, it was a oversight of reporting the interest expense on debt. We've got that number from the town. We will amend that, but that will likely be a finding as well. So when we have the formal report, we will share it as we always do with the committee.
Thank you. Moving on to fixed asset.
Fixed asset disposal. So again, folks that aren't aware, any equipment we purchase, any, FF&E, fixed assets, anything has a value greater than $10,000 and a useful life greater than 3 years becomes a fixed asset. Whenever we salvage, whether we get rid of it, dispose of it, or in this case, sell, which is nice. We can actually auction some of our stuff through municipal auctions. We recoup some of that money, but we have to report that to school committee. So in your packet, the listing of the work we've done over the summer. Most of these that you'll see, the July 22nd dates, is related to there was a space at the high school in the gold side, and for years it's just been a catching ground of old equipment, an old engine block, equipment that's no longer being used, and it's stuff that you can't just throw in a dumpster. So we kept it for a number of years. That building's been open for over 20 years now, and I feel like we discussed it we might have talked about it on a tour.
We toured it and we saw it when we went on the tour.
So school committee toured CTE last spring. we saw the space. We needed the space at the high school, because we know space is a premium. We needed the space for changing rooms for students who are in the programs. So it was decided that we would scrap what was in there, and we were able to scrap some of it for funds that came back into the CTE revolving fund. And then there was other items that we scrapped that go back into our insurance recovery revolving fund. Basically, that insurance recovery revolving fund is if something happens to one of our buildings and insurance doesn't cover it, we have this fund. It's not large dollars. I think it's maybe $10,000, if that, that is a revolving fund. And so when we report out revolving funds, we can see that line, and I'll point attention to that line. But that's where the funds that we sold, roughly $10,000 went into CTE revolving fund. So Sam can purchase new equipment in the future, as well as our insurance recovery revolving fund.
And by moving this stuff, there's now a changing room. I know that was something that was brought up.
Correct. It is,
So is it near automotive?
it's across from, I think, auto and
Auto, metal?
metal fab.
Metal
Metal
fab,
fab?
it's like right next to metal
Okay.
fab.
Yeah.
I know that was something that was brought
Yeah.
up.
And typically, it typically costs money to get rid of stuff. So the fact that we work with mechanic, Kevin Lance in the garage, and we get the things on auction, sell it, and then works with Alyssa to get it deposited. So I think it's a great exercise.
And Mike and the summer kids,
And Mike and the summer kids did a great job
a lot of this stuff out and,
cleaning that stuff out.
great job.
Any questions? Moving on to the food service audit.
Yes, thank you. So audits. So this is we're the lucky elected district. So it's about a 1 out of 3 chance you're gonna get selected. So we got selected for National School Lunch Administrative Review. So we will go through the exercise of working with Alyssa, working with Liz Sorrow in food service. Desi will come in and do an audit. And so once that administrative review is done, we'll report back to the committee. It's a 4-year review cycle, so you get picked once every 4 years. It just happens to be we get picked back to back. I think we had the procurement one last year, and now we have the administrative review this year.
All right. Thank you. MSBA assessment.
MSBA assessment, folks remember last year, MSBA, the Massachusetts School Building Authority, visited every school in every city and town in Massachusetts. So we worked with MSBA in getting building assessments. They looked at everything to space, how space is being used, classes, offices. They looked at our systems, our mechanicals. They got utility information from us. It was a very intense assessment done in the springtime. That has been complete. And now MSBA anticipates publishing the report for the 2025 school year survey that was done by December of 2025. So hopefully by December of 2025, we'll be able to see the results of those assessments. I think, my opinion, our buildings are in great shape as compared to some other districts. So I think MSBA is doing this to try to prioritize across the state. There are some pretty deplorable buildings across the state. So I don't know what it means for us, but at least we'll have data that we can refer to on the MSBA site when this report is published.
Are they looking at the MSBA process too? Because it sounds like that would kind of change that process if there's
I think
set in priority.
I think they're doing 3 things. So one would be that. 2, they have the MSBA program to build new buildings or do major additions. They also have what's called the accelerated repair program, which right now it's focused on boilers, and it was focused prior on windows and doors. I imagine HVAC systems would be a priority of theirs. And then I think 3rd is they just want to see where they're at so they can actually advocate to the state for their funding going forward.
Sure, that makes sense. Any questions? Go ahead, guys.
Brian is part is part of this exercise creating a potential open risk about if they find things that we're going to be forced to fix?
I believe so. I don't know that for sure, but I think,
Associated costs.
yep. So I'm curious to see what the report actually looks like and what data there. But I think at the least they'll have, I mean, they had spreadsheet upon spreadsheet that we had to complete of all of our buildings, like all the things I just listed. And then they came in and they did their own independent assessment of buildings. So I don't know what the report will look like, but it'll give us data for sure. And it might help us in planning for the future with buildings.
Right, it would only be to identify, they're not looking at providing extra funding for anything, they're just be looking at, you need to be fixing this or that.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe they use it to advocate to the state for more funding.
Right.
I think right now, I want to say a half a cent of every tax, like sales tax dollar goes, or something like that goes to the MSBA fund. Maybe that amount increases. I don't know. That's for them. But yes, to your point, it's nothing to do with funding right now. It's just identifying problems.
Is it only active buildings or will Johnson included in it? Seeing if we're not using it right now.
It's a great question. I think it was active schools. I don't think they reviewed Johnson. I think
Can we just throw people in there so that they look at it?
right. Well, I guess, if depending on what we do with Johnson, if it became a school again, it would then be eligible for MSBA funding for projects. But I don't believe it was part of their assessment because it wasn't. I think they were going off what DESI had for active
Schools.
Ashley, did you have a question?
Mary Ellen had that question.
Oh, great.
We're on the same wavelength.
Moving on to contracts and procurement.
Great. Contracts and procurement. Okay, so under contracts and procurement, so shared maintenance contracts were really, this is several years ago, if you remember, the competitive bid threshold through 30B changed where it was for years, $50,000 was our trigger for a competitive bid for contracts. That increased to $100,000 for school, but remained $50,000 for cities and towns. So now what's happened is Alyssa will be taking over any maintenance contract that we shared with the town. All these contracts are expiring now, right? Since this law changed. And as these contracts are expiring, Alyssa's handling the procurement and contracting of this new work with maintenance. So unfortunately, the town will have to do their own and we will have to do our own only because of that threshold. Because a lot of the stuff we do maintenance wise exceeds $50,000 if you think about all our buildings. Anything else to add to that, Alyssa?
No, that sums it up.
Um,
Can I go back to the
MSBA?
yeah.
Yep.
What about the like the garages, the maintenance garages and all those? Do they look at those?
educational.
Just educational buildings, okay.
Yep.
I'm just thinking about that garage behind here with the roof, with plants on it.
Oh, the old alternative.
Yeah. Okay,
No students in there, so not part of the MSBA.
okay,
But we keep an eye on that ourselves.
I know.
No state funding, I guess that would be the impact. FY27 IFB, so invitation for bids, we have our first student contract expiring this year, as well as our Konica Minolta contracts expiring this year. So those will both, given the size of the contracts, they'll both be
Can you just say what the Konica
Konica Minolta.
is for what?
Oh, sorry,
Copy.
managed print service, so it's for
I know that, but-
printing and copying, thank you. Thank you. So it's for our printing and copying across the district. The current contract allows us to get fixed cost for everything, printing, service-wise, ink, everything except for paper. So papers are only variable cost right now, which is a wonderful contract we have. And then first student, our big yellow bus contract, we will likely bring before the committee the request to go to town to procure a 5-year contract. It makes most fiscal sense. We're constantly gathering data in ways that we can ask for more when we do the bid process this year. We're looking at number of buses we have across the district. We're looking at the times, the different routes. We have the 3 different tiers and what they can offer us additionally in terms of like athletics and field trips. So that will be happening this spring, Alyssa, is that right?
No, probably February.
February.
Yeah. So,
Is
And
that the
then
only transportation company that we use? Is it, do we just use, or do we use transportation for other?
for regular transport, what we call big yellow bus
Yeah.
for a student is our only
Yeah.
contracted service,
Mhm.
30 buses. For special ed transportation or McKinney-Vento transportation or DCF transportation, we utilize vans. And we have our roughly 30 vans that we use, but because of the demand and the amount of students we service, we also utilize a number of contractors.
So they're, okay.
Yeah, we have a number of them. I don't know off the top of my head, but we use a lot of different vendors. Alyssa mentioned one earlier with the sponsorship program, one that we use local a lot,
Right.
donated.
They're amazing.
They're amazing.
they
Yeah.
are.
Champions is the only current 5-year contract, correct? Or is there more?
Food service.
Food service as
Service.
well. Speaking of champions, that's not on the list here, but
Yes.
recent developments is now we have champions.
I was
for-
reading you.
At, you read my mind,
Yeah.
thank you. We have champions now being offered at Chapman. For 6th graders and some 7th, because champions as a before and after school program is, their oversight by EEC. And so it's based on age and staff ratios. And so we have, I think we have a license up to 25 to start at Chapman. But I think they only have maybe less than a dozen kids.
We had one today for opening day, but we have 8 on the list. It's had to start midweek, so there's 8 signed up currently at chat.
One student today.
And what does that run? The time that it runs? Just in the afternoon, correct?
No, they actually added
They're gonna do-
morning, so it's just 7 to 7:50, I believe, in the morning, and then the afternoon.
Okay.
I think the morning's more of like physical, like activity,
Movement, yeah,
and then the afternoon's more like support.
homework.
Support, yeah.
Any questions? Go ahead, Ashley.
Champions, is it offered at all the elementary schools
And here for WEC, yes.
and here for WEC?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Gus.
Yes, Danielle. For Brian on the bus thing, do you see anything changing with respect to the monopoly that exists in terms of getting additional bidders on the bus contract, or is it just gonna be per student again, where we have no leverage and
Probably, in my experience, I've done 2 or 3 contracts at Weymouth and one in a prior district, and it's pretty localized. The only thing I've seen districts do is really leverage the fact that we could always bring it in-house if we really wanted to. I mean, that'd be a huge effort and cost, but I think the transportation company should realize that it's not a monopoly and they shouldn't approach it that way.
although that's what they've been doing.
They've been tried, yeah.
Right.
But I do think the service they provide and the competitive bid, you never know, there might be a new player that tries to come in, but I think a few districts have gone that route. They've just abandoned outsourcing it and brought it back in-house.
The 5-year contract deal, the primary drivers that we might get a financial break if we do it for 5 years instead of 3.
Yes, they base, the purchasing of vehicles and amortization over a 5-year period. They can give us better breaks and deals on the rates that they give us. I mean, we always have, there's always legal outs if things went bad. So I think some people get concerned when you say you're gonna be committed to 5 years versus 3 years, but if a vendor isn't performing, and there's ways out of it, so I think it's beneficial to go with a 5-year. We just have to go through school committee and council.
Thank you.
Food service?
Exciting news?
Yes, it's exciting for us. It might not be for the public. But we have a new food, so we transport to our 8 primaries and here for pre-K, food from Central Kitchen at the high school. We had a refrigeration truck. It was modified, so it didn't have quite the clearance, so the poor driver would always hit his head and it was difficult to navigate. So because of the funds we've received from the state for free meals, we've built up a healthy balance in the food service revolving account, so we'll be able to purchase the new refrigeration truck. So Alyssa procured this a couple of years ago, and it took time to get here and get outfitted. But that truck is on site back here and will be hopefully on the road. I think it's plated and everything, lettered, so it should hopefully be in use next week. I think it's the goal.
Yes.
But good timing on this stuff, for sure. And the last thing in the contracts procurement, really contracts, it's the contract to get our modular classrooms up and running. So as of today, students are in all the modulars. There was a delay at Hamilton. We appreciate the staff at Hamilton and the families at Hamilton and the students at Hamilton for that delay. They were for a couple of weeks, the fifth graders in the gym and the library. But as of today, they were in the modulars. So we are happy. Still between now, probably till Columbus Day, like any other project, there'll be punch list items, minor things to address. And then the principals are connecting with the teachers to make sure that they have what they need in the classrooms. We have some temporary construction fencing at West Augusta right now, but we'll get fencing at West Augusta. The cameras are in at West Augusta. And then the last piece is we're going to continue to look at, we did a tour at Nash a couple weeks ago. We get some good feedback on, weatherizing those canopies. So it'll take some time, but we're going to work with maintenance to explore the idea of maybe it's marina curtain or something that we can, reasonably use that isn't a maintenance burden, or but something when we do have those few like it's the inclement, like really sideways rain type of days, it's protected. But if you have the chance to get to a location, I mean, the canopies themselves, if it's normal temperature, normal weather, even normal light rain or snow, the width of them protects enough. But I think we heard loud and clear those really tough weather days. So Mike Manning is going to explore some ways to address that. I think that was it in modulars.
Yes, but don't forget about the van. We just got the contract for today for.
Oh, thank you. So in the last thing, so we've been trying to get vans, and we've had a couple of vans on hold, and just getting them made and delivered. But we had an opportunity to procure a gently used van from another district, very low miles, an older van, but the miles were well within what we would look for a used van. And the timing just came that we went down 2 vans, and we really needed to make our fleet whole again. So our mechanic went in neighboring town, checked out the van, and we got it registered, 7D certified. So that was a good solution, and that was a nice win. We haven't had many wins when it comes to our special ed vans in the last couple of years. So.
Any questions on it? Go ahead, guys.
Thanks, Danielle. Brian, going back to the curtains, are all of the modular pathways getting curtains? The reason I'm asking is that Nash Parent Council, I was approached about, and they were told that they were not getting curtains on their pathway.
It wasn't the plan originally, only because Talbot, we never did them at Talbot. Academy was connected, and Murphy was a very small run. But we've gone back, we've looked. We had to talk to building and fire department because you can't enclose for building and fire restrictions. But there's no reason why you couldn't do this temporary. But then you get into maintenance, they're going to look like a mess over time. Who's going to maintain them? But again, we heard the community loud and clear. So that has changed since. So
That's a change since.
So Wes, any of the buildings that we will entertain and explore for any of the buildings that aren't connected to the building, like Academy.
I mean, clearly the one of us, I guess, is a long haul,
Yes.
so it's obvious, but some of the other ones, as you say, are short, so there was a little confusion about, what the distance parameters were, I guess, that was driving the decision.
Hamilton's is kind of long too.
Yes. Yeah. So, we'll explore that. We'll explore that for sure.
This was specific to Nash too. That was kind of where you came up with that.
I was
That's
thinking about West Augusta. It was so long,
Yeah.
such a long walk, and I was just having gone there, and been through the weather. It does kind of go sideways because it's always windy down there.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to fiscal year 27 budget plan.
Okay, let's
Are we
start.
done with 26 yet?
What do you mean?
No, I'm just. Like we just started.
Okay, we're doing good on time here too. Federal and state update. So first, I think last time in July, we had reported there was concerns around the FY 26 grants, the federal grants. Like I mentioned earlier, those are getting processed and there's no concerns there. However, folks are looking ahead to fiscal 27. So both, and this is out of Washington, DC. So both bodies of Congress have been working on federal education appropriations for the next fiscal year. That's fiscal 27. The Senate Appropriations Committee approved legislation that would mostly level fund major educational entitlement programs. However, the House Appropriations Committee released a draft version of its bill, which is more in line with the administration's proposal to reduce and or eliminate certain programs. So it is proposed, doesn't mean it's happening yet. It's proposed to cut Title I by 25% and to eliminate Title IIA and Title III funding. Now, there's conversations that things would consolidate into one funding source for states. But we're looking at it from, what's the potential risk for us? If the potential risk for us is the elimination of Title II and III and the reduction of Title I by 25%, that would be roughly $500,000. So roughly $500,000 from federal funding. If that went away, that's either a cut for us or find it elsewhere. And those positions, those are mostly positions at $500,000.
Go ahead, Ben.
Right, Brian, you think in aggregate, those things would be
Correct. The biggest piece of the pie is Title I, by far. Yep.
Go ahead, Ashley.
Do you know if there's any avenue that constituents can take to voice their concerns about that, like at the state level?
There will be, the federal
Yeah,
definitely.
it's federal, it's not
Uh,
over state.
As the state starts, so usually January is when the state really starts to open up their budgeting process. So I would look for opportunities in January when the state starts there. I think the governor presents her budget sometime in January.
If it gets approved, go ahead. Go ahead, go.
Thanks, Danielle. Brian, I know it says FY 27, but just if I could ask about the FY 26.
Yeah.
There's been no change to any of the appropriations for any of the districts from the millionaires tax distributions for.
Nothing,
I haven't seen anything.
nothing I've seen.
Since we basically are getting nothing.
Basically getting nothing. It's really, it's the free meals
Yeah.
that we benefit from. I think some of circuit breaker that we're getting is that there's some small earmarks that until I have it in black and white from DESI, but there's some small earmarks that are floating around out there that could come to us that could benefit us for fiscal 26.
Right, because as I shared with the group at different points last year, in fiscal year 25, 75% of that money went to 25% of the districts. The focus was primarily on gateway cities, local issues. So that fundamentally, you're talking about advocating at the federal level, or advocate at the state level to get a little more equity and fairness in the $1 billion.
Yep, agreed. So at the next meeting, we will dig into. We've got some net school spending and per pupil expenditure information. I wanted to share it tonight, but I just with the start of school couldn't get it organized enough. But so next meeting we'll look at, as we're talking about budget planning, we'll look at net school spending and per pupil expenditure. DESI just recently posted some updated numbers for us. I have it somewhere here. There we go. So just so folks have the information. So our most recent per pupil. Again, it's always lagging. But our in-district expenditure per pupil for 2023, $18,245. And a total expenditure per pupil period, that's in district, not district, 19,798. I think we have roughly 70 or 80 out of district. So that gets factored in, and that's why that number goes up. But it's 70 or 80 versus 5,000 students, so it just increases the number nominally. So 18,245 in district expenditure per pupil, 19,798 total expenditure per pupil. And in terms of our net school spending number, so this is data as of July. We are 245th out of 319. And we are 111% of net school spending. So basically, the most recent report per DESI of FY24, we're 11.4% above the spending, the net school spending minimum. But we'll dig into that more in the coming meetings. I just wanted to start that conversation and that with that data point.
I know you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Right.
Gus,
This is the thing. This is your thing. I get it.
I mean, those are good numbers, obviously, Brian. That's what they reported, but I just want to make sure there's new people here.
Yeah.
There's going to be new interested parties involved.
Yeah.
We need to recognize that when those numbers get compared to the state averages, Weymouth Public Schools funding of public schools significantly lags the state average, whether you look at it on a per pupil basis, or whether you look at it on a net basis. That hasn't changed over the years. It's improved, but we continue to lag. And you know, that doesn't look like it's going to change in fiscal year 2027. Bad news, but we want to make sure we're all on the same page.
agreed.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then before we get to staffing requests for next year, I just want to touch on this year. So we will do, I think we'll go over schedule, but we'll do a forecast soon, our 5-year forecast. Alyssa, once everyone's here and the dust starts to settle at the beginning of the school year, Alyssa will do a projection October, November. But in my high level look at our budget, we had a budget proposed, we have a budget approved this year of $90,113,902. In addition to that, we've already this year had to add a couple positions just for compliance to the tune of $96,000. Why do I say that? Because I don't think in the past we've really talked about it at the beginning of the year, how we go through the budget process starting now through spring, we get a budget, boom, the school year starts and already we have to shift resources, add staff. So I think it's gotten, I hope it wasn't confusing in the past, but I think folks have to understand that our budget, our staffing changes day to day. Like if you look at the 1,100 so staff that we had when we did the budget book last March, people have retired, people have resigned, we've had turnover, we have people on leave, we have people who come in to cover. So we track that number the best. And, you know, we do our projection of our budget, but we also have to factor in that we're adding things this year. And the question becomes, they have to remain, we have to shift resources. We've always had the luxury of additional funding over the last 10 years with ESSER and grants. We've had contingency that's no longer there. So we are living as lean as we have in years. So I wanted to make that point.
And I think it's important to note too, we've had a lot of late registrations.
Correct.
And as in my world, a lot of people are opting out of ABA centers to come to public schools, which I've heard a pretty significant, which is great. Which is a great thing, but we can't plan for that.
Yep.
And I know off the top of my head that there's at least 4 students that have come from ABA centers just within the past couple of weeks. So that's something to take into effect too, that we can't really plan for those compliance conditions when someone comes in.
Right. Yep. Correct.
We want them. Go ahead, Gus.
Brian, you don't give yourself, and Alyssa and the rest of the committee doesn't give themselves credit either. You asked for more than the 90 million. So you did go through an exercise where you outlined $90 million appropriation from the wasn't even letter of service funding. What you requested was 92, and if you look at it other ways, you actually requested more than that, so kudos to you, because you know I've always been big on asking for what you need, right? So going forward, you heard me say at the public hearing last year, and there's some other meetings as you, and maybe I don't know if you were finished, Brian, but when you're
No, finish it.
this 27 level planning, you need, as I said at the public meetings, you need to present what is Weymouth's excellence budget. What is the number that is going to take to drive excellent academic improvements and outcomes in Weymouth Public Schools? You know, as I shared last year, other districts sort of present a similar budget like that. They call it different things. I'm suggesting you call it the Weymouth Excellence Budget. What does that number look like? So when you present that request for fiscal year 27, that's one of the things that's on the table for conversation.
Can I ask a question that, sorry, does that 296 compliance, does that include if a person's out of district placed, if a student is out of district placed?
I'm sorry if I misspoke. So it was
I might have misheard you.
two positions totaling 96,000.
Totaling 96.
So 96,000. Yep.
So that does not include out of district placements if,
No, so this is just staffing.
okay,
Right.
Okay.
So it's not tuition if we
okay,
ended up sending someone out
yep, yeah,
during the year.
But and Danielle, if I may.
Go ahead.
So in those two positions, Brian, everybody needs to understand, they were not part of the forecasted positions that were included in the
Correct.
budget for forecasting for school year 26. But as we always say, it happens all the time.
Correct.
Things change, students move in, high need students move in, different requirements appear that were not on the table when the fiscal year 26 budget was finalized.
Yeah.
And this is what happens every single year. The town side needs to understand that.
Correct.
go ahead.
If we were to look back like X amount of years.
Mhm.
You know, I've heard you mention like, especially with late registrations and the shifting, are we on a trajectory where we typically do have to add more every summer than what we actually end up getting approved in the springtime?
So great segue, both points you've made with the staffing request slide next.
Oh.
So great segue. Let me bring that up. You can see that, Alyssa?
Yes.
Okay. So the registrations that came in, so we look at enrollment all the time, buildings, number of classroom teachers, size of the classes, number of kids. And so this summer we watched and monitored that. And even with the late registrations, still within our capacities, both space and staffing. The problem, and it's not a problem because we knew about it, is next year, NASH. So for example, already we've started, and we usually don't share this till later in the budget process, but we want to share it earlier. So already next year, we have on here teacher first grade. So we added a kindergarten this year, and we're going to wait to see what the numbers are doing. But that, sometimes you have bubbles and sometimes you have a wave. So this is a wave coming through. So next year, we have to add a grade 1 teacher at NASH to continue what we see at NASH with having three Ks there now. Oh, I thought you had your hand for a question. So,
We have a room for that? Is there,
yes, we will.
there will be a room?
Yes.
Does that mean another grade will have less a teacher? No.
What's does,
Like, so you're adding,
yep, so we
at a
added,
kindergarten, so now you'll add to add, but then will you have to add a second grade the next year?
potentially, so then you have to look at where kids are coming in,
Okay.
and where they live. And we're trying to keep with the school committee policy of the
Mhm.
neighborhood schools. So, and to answer your first question, so we added 2 modulars there, because we added
Right.
the K.
Mm-hmm.
We pushed both 5th grades out, so both will be out there. So we have space to absorb next year, another first grade. So the space, yes, we don't have the staff, so now we're adding
Okay.
the staff already for next year. And then the other, and also on here, you see, so you see what we're saying, planning for next year. Right now, under future considerations, we have assistant principals at Nash, Talbot, and Academy.
That BCBA needs to be moved over to 27, but
And then we will, so
that's
that,
just my opinion.
yep, so, but we have that BCB on there from last year. We will, as we go through this process, likely slide that over, but up here you can see superintendent, who apologized she couldn't be here tonight. But when we're talking about the focus and bringing back things we've lost, we have the STEM teachers on to restore for fiscal 27 as a request. And the hope is that, it's whether it's newer teachers in those positions or it's newer teachers in roles and people shifting to these positions, regardless, you'll be adding 4 new teachers next year to this process, likely, hopefully. And it would be newer teachers that are coming in at a lower cost than our veteran teachers. That's why the number's lower than you would expect. So this is our staffing. So we'll see this here on out to the process. It probably won't change much till we get into January, where by January, the principals will have met with school councils and have met with their own staff to identify requests within their building.
Go ahead, Ashley.
I just want to make sure this isn't a mirage and that I'm seeing it with my own eyes and not my imagination. You talked so much
It's an
about,
ask, but it's not funded yet.
okay, but I'm just very happy to see it on something physical, and I know that townwide parent council really advocated for this, and so I'm just happy that it's on there.
So if I could, thank you. Yep, so Mel, Lindsay and I went to townwide last week, and Mel heard folks understanding the lost STEM block. We understand the concerns, and so she sent out an email regarding this. Lindsay working with principals and our curriculum coordinators, special ed, ELL directors, just to see what that block looks like going forward. But Mel and I understand and hear the concern of folks. So we are budgeting, we're at least putting the positions back, like you said, in black and white here to have a conversation this budget season.
That's awesome. There's gonna be a lot of happy people with that, including me. So thank you.
Go ahead, go.
Thanks, Danielle. Just 2 comments or a comment and a question, Brian. The Nash example, it's a perfect example of how quickly things can change. It was only a few years ago, there was a controversial conversation about shutting.
About closing it, yeah, I thought the same thing.
40 students there. Now it's pushing 300. You had to add 2 modular classrooms with grades, and now you're looking to add a first grade, because of the increased student growth. I just wanted to point it out as an example of how quickly things can change. And then the second piece, I know the answer to the question, but I'm going to toss it out here just for conversation. Brian, in your experience, has the school department ever received a supplemental budget add-on over the course of the fiscal year?
From
Like
town?
from a town, like additional money? I know the answer is no. I'll just toss it out there.
No, I don't think it's no.
We did.
We did for Adams.
We did.
No, so I think you're talking operating supplemental.
Oh.
Yeah.
I believe
Like fire and police get on a regular basis when.
before my time, through the free cash process, once it's certified in the winter, if I go back in history, I think I've seen adding of positions mid-year from the town through the free cash process. The problem then becomes, great, you have the free cash one time to get the body in the building, but then it's part of the,
And you can't fund it.
Right.
yeah, so somewhat supplemental, I guess supplemental in terms of one-time money to hire the person. But that was, God, that must have
Right, I
been
guess
10, 12 years ago.
Association that I want to highlight is that on the town side, it happens on a regular basis. The mayor submits a supplemental request to the town council to address fire department overtime or police department overtime or other things relating to other departments that were not part of their regular operating budget. So you know it better than I do, so I'll take it for the 2 bodies here and there, but I'm still going to say it's not the norm when
It's
it
not
comes
common.
to.
No, it hasn't happened in 12 years, 10 or 12 years, I think. Right, 10. I see Alyssa nodding because she was around during those times. It was probably compliance positions that got added, right?
The town, yeah, yes.
Okay.
The fiscal year 27 budget schedule.
Sorry, we jumped over one. Yep,
Sorry.
it was food service substitute rate.
Yes, sorry.
So we're updating, so our cafeteria aid substitute rate, it was $15.25 an hour. And Liz was not getting anyone a sub. And again, we have a very healthy revolving fund that allows us to do these things. We've changed it to $17 per hour. And amazingly enough, Liz has now staffed her sub list. And just for the committee to understand like our philosophy and how we approach this, the sub rate, we always like to keep it at or below the contractual rate for a new employee. The union appreciates that. You don't want to be paying subs high in the way you would be paying a new permanent staff member. So we bring that to you I don't think you do a formal vote on that because these are outside of contracts, but we do have to let the committee know when we're making these changes to rates.
Can you just, the retired license Weymouth Van, is that retired license teacher? Or is that a retired license, like they have the CDL license?
So they have the 70-year CDL.
Oh,
It's probably 70. And it's a great question. We pay a premium on folks that know and have a connection to our kids, right?
Yeah.
We do it with teachers. If
Yeah.
it's a teacher that's
Yeah.
retired, so we
Yeah.
applying the same philosophy to our van drivers.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Any questions on that? Go ahead, guys.
Thanks, Danielle. With the improved increased substitute rates, Brian, I know it's kind of newish, but are you seeing a positive impact in terms of interest of the substitute pool and the caliber of candidates that might be interested in, coming in as substitutes?
We do. We had I think we had 70 added to the pool last year. And Jeremy and his office are working on adding. And we actually just had a conversation today around making sure that we give time for mandated trainings for the new staff, the new subs coming in, making sure that they have some time and then the first day, even if it's the first day, connecting with people in the building, not just getting thrown right into a classroom. So we have seen an improvement there. And depending on which way employment rates go, it's inversely proportionate that, when times are tough employment wise, you do see we're filling all of our sub positions for sure.
Thank you.
Great.
And then the last is just the
Schedule.
so schedule included. So we're working with the principals on, capital needs requests and budget timeline. We had our kickoff meeting tonight. Our next meeting's in October. We'll go over the forecast and other updates. And we just want to, again, Mel couldn't be here, but she sent out her superintendent's newsletter today. I think folks got that. And there was a budget development section. And we do appreciate these meetings, all you folks, everyone who's in the public process, where our goal is to make good decisions, data-driven budget decisions, because, we're reading articles on managing decline, communicating during hard times, and we feel that the process that we have in place, the transparency, the communication, and the dialogue we can create in these meetings is helpful for us. So wanted to share that as we kick off. There's our official kickoff message. So as we kick off the budget season for fiscal 27.
Thank you.
Danielle?
Yes, go ahead.
Final thing.
Yeah.
And again, Brian, Liz, and his team don't give themselves enough credit. I've been involved for a long time, as you all know. The process the last few years is light years ahead of what it used to be years ago. Brian emphasizes transparency, participation, communications. It's been an excellent process.
Thank you. And I thank Danielle as the budget sub chair too. We meet regularly and talk to this stuff, and that's been a goal of ours. Hearing feedback and just knowing that we went through two very difficult budget years.
Mhm.
So I appreciate, and it's going to be a tough one this year. I'm going to tell you right now, it'll be another tough budget year. But the more we can get ahead of conversations and communications, the better.
I appreciate you too. And Alyssa and Amy. Thank you.
We'll see when I give the forecast next week.
Yeah,
How
that's
much you
true.
appreciate me.
Anybody else? Anybody have any questions, comments? Birthday's coming up? No? I will take the motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
I have laryngitis. I had it 2 days, so that's why I was.
So we good?
We're good.
Good. Thank you.
Good night.
So moved.